Good afternoon. It's 2 o'clock. It's time to call to order the November meeting of the Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust. The first item on our agenda is to approve the minutes of the October 20th, 2015 Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust meeting.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, and they are approved. Next on the agenda is to ratify the OCEDT claims. We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please cast your votes. And they are ratified. Next on the agenda, items needing individual consideration. First item is a change order dealing with the City Hall lawn renovation project. Eric, would you like to give us a brief update on that, sir, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the item that's on your agenda today is a change order 1 and an amendment number 1 to the City Hall lawn project. It's $105,000, and there's several items that you're going to find. There were some unsuitable soils that were found when they were actually building the fountain and restoring that. There was some electrical rerouting. There was some storm sewer rerouting that was not included in the original plans. The last major item that I'll mention is as they were reconstructing the historic fountain, it was intended that the original stones, the original capstones, would be reused, and they weren't salvageable, and so we ended up having to procure new stones for the fountain. But at the head end of the fountain, you're going to see all the original black granite has been restored to the fountain, so as much historical significance that we could bring back to the City Hall lawn site we did as possible. So with that, the work is nearly complete at City Hall lawn. If you've looked outside the building, you're going to see that they're putting in the final irrigation. Most of the walks are in, a lot of the plants are in, and so they hope to wrap the project up in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Yes, Rhonda.
What defines unsuitable soil material?
So sometimes what we find is the new fountain needed a soil that was strong enough to hold up all the new materials. There was a lot of new concrete placed, so this soil was either just really soft and mushy and needed to be replaced with something more firm and engineered. So they did excavate. If you look at the change order, you see where there was a mass excavation, and then they brought in all new soil that was suitable for the new construction.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further questions?
I would like to move approval.
A motion to approve. We have a second. Any questions? Seeing none, please cast your votes. And it is approved. Next on the agenda is a joint resolution with the City of Oklahoma City approving an amendment to the Edge Apartments Residential Project Economic Development Agreement. Kathy, you going to cover this?
I can try.
Okay.
My lawyer may need to help me. We discovered that some of the language in the agreements didn't quite match up with how the county wanted to implement the minimum tax payment requirements, so we've made amendments to the agreements and to the deeds of declaration of covenants for the Edge, and also in the next item to clarify that and make sure that we have it worded in the same way that the county will be implementing or working with us to implement that requirement.
Frank, give the trustees, if you would, the overview that you gave me just before the meeting started on this.
As a requirement, in order to receive TIF, we require developers to agree to a minimum tax, and we'd always envisioned that the county assessor would be able to assess them at the rate of the minimum tax. They're not able to do that. So what these amendments will do is the assessor, say, assesses a property and the taxes are $400,000, and let's say our minimum tax is $450,000. This amendment and these covenants will allow us to bill the developer the $50,000 difference, and they'll pay us directly. That's what we're accomplishing with these two amendments.
Thank you, sir. Comments or questions from the trustees? We have a motion and a second. Any more questions? Seeing none, please cast your votes. And it is so approved. Next item is a joint resolution dealing with another economic development agreement, the 10th and Chartel Residential Apartments Project.
And this is the same issue as the first one.
Identical to the first ones.
Like to make a motion?
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Thank you all. Please cast your votes. And it is approved. Next is a resolution relating to the 21C Museum Hotel Redevelopment Project. Kathy, how about explaining that to us, if you would, ma'am?
When we entered into the agreement for the 21C Museum, I think we anticipated that there would be changes in ownership or slight changes in the structure. And this resolution makes those amendments that are related to transferring the primary ownership interest to a new entity that will retain the legal name of 21C Holdings, Hotel Holdings, but the structure is just a little bit different. It also updates the guarantee agreement with the guarantee being signed by the new legal entity.
Comments or questions from the trustees?
I did have a question, Mr. Chairman. Curious, it makes reference to a lender out of New York, but is there a reason that's not listed, or is it something that the developers are still working to secure?
They had asked us not to reveal it. We know who it is, but they've asked us not to make it public as part of our discussions to keep their finances confidential. It just lets us know we have a secured party to help protect our interest. Right.
Thank you, Jim. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Please cast your votes. And it is so done. Next is a resolution regarding the Civic Center Flats Residential Project Economic Development Agreement. Kathy?
Again, this project had a slight change in the ownership or membership structure of the organization. There were also changes in the budget. The sources and uses were changed slightly, and those are included as an addendum to the financial verification. Some of those were things that were required by their lender in order to make their loan. And then they also requested that a change in the commencement date to begin 12/31, but they did not request a change in their completion date. So hopefully that project will be starting very soon.
Thank you, ma'am. Questions from the trustees? We have a motion to approve. A second. Any questions? Please cast your votes. And it is approved.
Please show one abstention.
I'm sorry, sir.
Please show one abstention. I see that
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
law firm has
Okay.
done some of the work on it.
Do we need to? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. I missed that. On item F, Alliance for Economic Development of Oklahoma City fiscal year 2015-2016 first quarter report.
Now, in your packet is the first quarter report for the Alliance for Economic Development and our financial report as well. Did that make it? Okay. I just want to hit some of the highlights for the first quarter of this fiscal year. A lot of time and effort was consumed by assisting the city with MAPS 3 projects, in particular the convention center site process, and helping the city determine what the new site for the convention center would be. We worked with a team of appraisers and were able to develop some information that helped the city council make the decision to select the site that's currently being acquired for the convention center. We've also worked quite a bit on the convention center hotel project to try to keep that moving forward at the same pace as the convention center, working on draft term sheets for the redevelopment agreements, drafts of the terms of the ground lease, if that's how we decide to structure it, so that those could be distributed to the development teams and they could give us their input on our requirements to see if we had any deal killers in there. We'd rather know that now than a year from now. We're also continuing to work on the Boeing project on Southeast 59th Street near Tinker Air Force Base. That project is well underway. They're under construction, and we're continuing to work on environmental remediation and some other issues on the property in the area. In Northeast Oklahoma City, we've had a lot of focus on in Northeast, working on the Page Woodson School development, Northeast 36th and Kelly, the Northeast Shopping Center, TIF allocation, the Innovation District, and projects at the old Dunbar School and for Sunbeam Family Services facilities they're old facilities that now are going to be hopefully used for affordable housing. Some of our downtown development projects you're probably aware of and familiar with that we've been working on the past several months, the OG&E headquarters and the Clayco Apartments project, Civic Center Flats, the Journal Record building closed in July, so that was a good day for the Industrial and Cultural Facilities Trust. 21C residential project, the Main Street Arcade, the Arts Festival relocation, and First National building. Mostly on First National, we spend a lot of time answering questions, and I really don't have anything that I know that I can tell you about on how that's going right now. We're also assisting the city with the American Indian Cultural Center project and evaluating the commercial development potential of that site. We've been working on quite a bit of work on tax increment financing. First of all, we've had a series of meetings with the Oklahoma City Public Schools to try to help them better understand how TIF works and how they've actually benefited from the TIF district, especially in downtown Oklahoma City. We've developed a new policy guidelines for the Northeast Renaissance TIF, and those are completed and distributed and available on our website about how we'll implement the TIF and how you all approve the policy, but that's now available to developers, and we're meeting with quite a few that are interested in development in Northeast Oklahoma City. And then we've been working quite a bit to develop the materials that are needed to create a new TIF district for Core to Shore. So we've begun having meetings since the last month or so, TIF review committee meetings and things to get that process started. So those are pretty much the highlights of what we've been doing the last quarter. I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Mayor. Jim?
Thank you. I did one question, a lot of great activity. Just a reminder, what are the boundaries of the Innovation District?
Well, generally it is
Maybe that by its nature shouldn't have boundaries. I don't know.
Well, and I think that's really why I say generally, because we really don't see, we had to define a study area for Brookings and the Project for Public Spaces to evaluate. They needed to be able to gather data within a certain boundary, and I'm sure Kurt can jump in here if I get it wrong, but we really see the boundary as being kind of fuzzy. But the study area is Lottie to Broadway, Robinson, generally 13th Street, but it does meander up to about 15th or 16th on the north, and then it goes to the railroad tracks on the south. So it includes all of the areas south of 4th Street. There's a lot of development there currently. A lot of edges that need some love. And a lot of potential. I mean, a lot of empty spaces that can be developed into something more dense. A lot of opportunities to figure out how we can better connect Automobile Alley to the health center. And then, a lot of the work is going to be about the tools that we need to have in order to help innovation and creativity and entrepreneurship happen. So it's more than just about the public spaces. It's about the ideas and what are the tools that we need to make those things happen. And Kurt, if you want to add anything to that, you can feel free. We're excited about it.
Is the Tudor building that's empty on the north side of 13th and Forever?
The wall court? Yeah.
There's a new sign out front talking about some fundraising effort. I didn't know if that's a community-based effort or community-based effort. Hope springs eternal.
Yep.
Sorry. That was really the conclusion of my comment. So I was just curious if that roped that in. There's a lot of hard barriers through the geography that you just described, and so I'm curious to know what commonality could help achieve a sense of purpose, I guess.
And I think some of it happens through development, getting development to get closer to the highway and thinking about the bridges. And I mean, there's some really interesting ideas out there. I don't know how we're going to fund them, but some really interesting ideas about building, maybe wider bridges across the interstate or something to get people to feel closer to the health center area. And then I think that having having more opportunities for people to live closer to the health center and better parks and open space will really help people feel more connected to downtown too.
Well, I'm thankful for your foresight. I was just curious, so thank you.
It's a group.
Thank you, Jim. Any other questions or comments? Motion is required, yes, to receive.
Second.
We have a motion to second to receive Kathy's report. Please cast your votes. And is received. Next up is the general manager's report.
Yes, sir. There's just a couple things. Your general manager report is through September 30. It reflects with TIF District Number 2 the payments for the Century Center development. I'm sure you've seen that. We provided a loan and an assistance development incentive payment to them in September. We finalized the balance of the TIF 8 funds to help support the sewer issues at the county jail. And on the outlet mall, we finished the first 2 months of their fiscal year is actually August, and it starts in August. And we're about a 1% under target and about a 0.5%, I believe, or 0.5% over prior year. So it's pretty much flat for right now. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Questions for Brent?
Move to receive the report.
We have a motion to receive. We have a second. Any discussion? Please cast your votes. Thank you, Brent. Your report's received. Next on our agenda is comments from staff. I figured you were going to come out of hiding after you stuck her with a tough one.
No, I didn't stick her with it. She answered it very well. I wasn't at the podium, but she answered it extremely well. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on one of our recent projects that you reviewed and approved just a few weeks ago. Progression, the company that came to see you, has selected Oklahoma City. They actually received their support from the state just about a week and a half ago. And they actually already have 35 employees. They're on their way to 75 within the next few weeks, and then will move toward their full goal over the next couple years. But they've already leased space. They're in temporary space out at the former Lucent facility in Ward 3, and are working on their space, about 55,000 square feet out in that facility, which will be their permanent space as well. So thank you for your support. They were very complimentary of the way the community engaged them, received them, and has welcomed them. I understand there's already been radio ads and maybe some billboards. I haven't heard or seen them, but I've had other people tell me they've heard them, so they're getting the word out about their opportunities. So that's all I had, unless you have any questions.
Congratulations. Any questions?
Thanks for your support.
Thank you for that report. Any other comments from staff?
I just have one other thing I'd like to add. I'd like to introduce Nicole Goodman. Nicole joined the staff at the Alliance about 2 weeks ago as our Director of Redevelopment Programs. And so this is her first Economic Development Trust meeting, and we're glad to have her on the team.
Wow, should I make a comment about pirating people away from other organizations? You could. Welcome to the Alliance. The Alliance's gain is ADG's loss. Welcome. For those of you who don't know, she spent quite a bit of time as a key staff member on ADG during all this MAPS 3 going through, and so thanks for coming over and joining Kathy. Any other comments from staff? Seeing none, trustees? Seeing none, anyone from the public would like to make a comment or ask a question? Seeing none, we are adjourned.